Go.
Okay, here we are at your store, and we have gone through the checklist. You know what items we're here to get. We brought the shipping container with the insulated box inside with us, and we're here to buy two things today. One is going to be the packing tape, so go and pick it up first before you get the dry ice. That way the dry ice is not sitting around melting while you're looking around for the tape. So get the tape first. Now let's go get our dry ice. Well, we're here today in the store to pick up our dry ice, and we've got a few tips for you on doing that. Number one, call ahead and make sure they've got what you're looking for. It's pretty frustrating to go to 4 stores before you finally find one that has the dry ice that you need. That's what we did. So take a tip, call ahead. When you get here, have your container already opened up and begin taking out the contents. And early on, or very quickly, remove the gloves, the packing peanuts, and the insulation, and get the container prepared to put the dry ice in it. Rule number one, put your gloves on. Never, ever touch dry ice with your bare hand. Always wear gloves, unless you want a big blister. So we're going to put the fiberglass insulation down inside the container. Then we'll pick out our dry ice. They have a lid on top of it that's inside. That's good. That'll keep it from falling out. And you want to pick out a couple of good blocks. Be picky. Don't just get the first one that's on the surface. Because look at this one here. It's just a fraction of what it was because it's already sublimated. So be picky. Get a really good block of dry ice, just like this one here is. Okay, go ahead and put it in the container. Okay, let's make sure that the dry ice will fit in our container. We'll get it set down in there good and snug. There, down in the bottom of the container. Let's go ahead and put a second one on there. And then we'll seal the insulation up on top of it. Okay, well, we went and got our dry ice, and if you measure the inside of one of these containers, the bottom dimension is roughly 8 inches by 10 inches. 8 inches wide and 10 inches long. Well, here's a block of the dry ice that we just bought. Its dimensions are 9 by 9. So we're going to have to cut 1 inch of ice off on one end. So we're going to take this saw, and I'm going to start sawing, and I'm going to cut off approximately 1 inch just by standing the block on end. And then I'm going to start sawing. The dry ice saws very readily. I've only been doing this for, I don't know, a few minutes, and I'm already about 1/4 of the way through. Now the dry ice will tend to crumble as you're cutting, and if you look over here, in fact, you'll see that pieces of it are falling off, and it's not cutting it exactly a straight cut. So I'm going to have to start over again and get a good straight part going, and then continue to cut until I get it down all the way. Now, don't ever try to do this without wearing your gloves. The first person that does wins a free blister. Now, one of the things you might notice about what I'm doing here is I'm using the container that the dry ice came in to set my block on, mostly. You also might notice I'm kind of making a mess. So, do everybody, especially your mom or your wife, a favor. Don't do this on the kitchen table. Take this out in the garage or out in your workshop, something like that. Nice place where you're not going to mess something up. And the whole process of cutting this to fit take you a little less than 5 minutes. Okay. Now we've cut off our dry ice. We got some pretty good chunks left over. And we got a little bit of dry ice sawdust. So, we're going to put this back inside the container that the dry ice came in. And then we'll set this down in the bottom of our container. Take your other piece out. The first one goes in, set in the orientation of which we cut it so that it'll fit. Now, you can see down in the bottom of the container we've got one block of dry ice. Now, we're going to take our hailstones and we'll put them on top of it, and then we'll place the other block of dry ice on top of it. But before we do that, let's cut this dry ice that we have out here and make sure that we've got it cut to the right dimensions. The dimension on this block is roughly 8 inches by 8.5 inches. So we only have to trim it a small amount. Okay, back in our plastic sleeve that it came in. You might ask yourself, why do you want to keep it in the plastic sleeve? What purpose does that serve? It really doesn't serve much as far as the thermal performance of the ice is concerned. It's just another layer to keep the ice away from you. Keep you from getting burned. So now we've got our bottom piece of dry ice in place. Got a few leftover pieces. Then we're going to take our bag of hail, represented by this bag of packing peanuts. Okay, we're ready to package it to return it to us. So, you're going to open your container. You've got your dry ice in here. You're going to have 2 blocks of dry ice that we will be putting the hailstones in between the 2 blocks of dry ice. All right, at this point, go to your freezer and remove your baggie full of so we've got 1 block of dry ice in the bottom. We have another one that we're going to put on top of the sample. And then we have this sample of the hailstones as represented by these packing peanuts. Give us a full sample. Fill it up. We want as many as we can get in there. So be generous. Now notice that there are 2 baggies. You have a baggie inside a baggie. The baggie on the inside is the one that is containing the hailstones. The one on the outside is the one that we've written, be sure to do this. Write the day that the hailstones were collected, the time that they were collected, and then put your zip code on there so we can identify it. All right. Now, we're not quite done. This next piece is something that, you know, no job's finished until the paperwork is done. And in this case, that includes the chain of custody record. Now, the chain of custody will be filled out as much as we can on our end, so you won't have to worry with filling out this top part. But down here, you've got to put in that you have one bag of hail. If you have two, put two. The date that you were sending it to us. And then a description. And this description says, hails, about 20 of them, 1.5 inches in diameter. So give us some kind of a description of what it is that matches up with what you're sending us. And then don't worry about what the moisture content is. This is a chain that gets used for many things. This is just one of the uses that we use it for. And then yes, that it is sealed. And then you put in your field observations, which just means write in it a comment that let us know how things went. In other words, did you get it sealed up good and tight? Well, write that in there and let us know. This chain goes back inside the baggie. All right, take your frozen hailstones, you put them down inside the container. You want to make sure that when you put this in here, that you don't have a lot of trapped air inside the baggie, because that's going to take up needed space. You will put so we now have the hailstones inside the container. They're sitting on top of one block of dry ice. We're going to put a second block of dry ice on top of them. So now the hailstones are sandwiched between two layers of dry ice. Then we will fold over our insulation. Then we will put the inner lid back on top. And that's going to help us to ensure that we get a good tight fit. And the baggie is laid on top of the inner lid, and then the whole thing is sealed down, and then it is completely retaped around with the tape that was included in the delivery. Once you've got this sealed down, don't be easily satisfied. Make sure that the tape job you've done on it is good, because it's what's really holding things down. If it fails, we're in trouble. So make sure you've got a good tape job on this. Once you have it taped in place, you can now put the insulated container back inside the pasteboard box, and you will have another bag of packing peanuts. All right, generously use these to help cushion the container so that it is not damaged in shipment. We'll make sure that you get plenty of those when we ship them to you. Then you will seal this back up. Using the tape, you will retape it. You'll tape across the seam, side to side. Then you'll tape along the edges on both sides where you have folding an edge. You'll do one side and then the other. Then you will take the return air bill that we included. You will put it inside one of the baggies that we provided you. Zip it up. And then it will be taped to the top of the shipping carton so that FedEx will know where to deliver it. This will be partially filled out. You will have to fill out your name, your address, and your phone number. The address of our laboratory and our phone number here at the lab is already filled out on it, along with the account number. So FedEx will know everything that they're supposed to do. When you return, or when you take this to FedEx, or when they pick it up, you will be issued a tracking number. Please take that tracking number and go to www.apec-llc.com and click on the banner, Give Them Hail, and you'll be given an opportunity to enter your tracking number. Well, that's about it. I do want to invite you to come back to our website and click on our video links, and you can see the progress that's being done. In fact, the work that you be seeing done may be your hail that you sent to us. Thank you.